watching news at Prime. Let's continue the conversation now around General Mkhwanazi's allegations. The pressure is mounting on President Cyril Ramaphosa to urgently take action on the damning allegations of corruption and interference, or should we say alleged interference, in the South African police service, including the judiciary. Ramaphosa has promised to give the allegations the seriousness and urgent attention they deserve. Now, the question is, what options does the president have in dealing with this? Joining me for this conversation is political analyst Sandile Swana. Mr. Swana, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. Let's begin the conversation exactly there. How does the president deal with this? What is his first order of business when he does set foot on home soil?
Thank you so much, Polly, and good evening to your viewers. My view is that the president needs to look at the laws that do exist, including the Constitution, as to what it is that he is supposed to do, rather than inventing some ad hoc measures. He must follow the Constitution, taking cognizance of the fact that, at a minimum, this problem has been in existence for 25 years. The corruption of our police, the political interference and other types of interference with the NPA, including many unceremonious terminations of the Director of Public Prosecutions in South Africa by the governing party and other people relevant to that. Now, number one, when I look at the mandate of the SIU, the Special Investigating Unit, it appears to me, when you look at the allegations and the mandate, there is a match. And I think the president would do well to issue a proclamation in a lawful manner to make sure that the SIU investigates this. Then there are other types of irregularities that are alleged, which may demand that attention be paid to them through the parliamentary committees, relevant parliamentary committees, as well as the ethics code of that executive ethics code, where cabinet members have actually displayed misconduct, including those who have received unlawful sponsorship that has not been properly disclosed.
Mr. Swana, intimations as we speak tonight, in fact, it comes across as authoritative that the president is back in the country. And I want to follow on from the question I posed earlier to you. He has said that this is a grave national security concern and that the people concerned here must act with restraint. So what does he do to assert his authority? Does he immediately call a police management meeting, or does he perhaps do the dramatic and announces a leave of absence for Minister Mkhwanazi?
I think that all of us have to accept that these things were going on. The only thing that did not happen is that they were not disclosed to us. They were going on. We did not call for a state of emergency. We didn't know about these things. They were going on. There are other painful things that have been going on that are directly linked to this. For instance, a police officer, Kenya, in the Western Cape, was killed by his own fellow police officers. And I've gone to bury one of my relatives on the East Rand, a police officer who was killed on duty. And in the community, people were asking whether he has been killed by the police. So when a police officer dies, other police officers are also suspects because they are running organized crime from within the local police stations. So South Africans must stop pretending that there's an emergency that can be solved within 48 hours. This thing has been developing and multiplying and spreading for the past 25 years. Therefore, the response and solution should be of a permanent nature, a deep cleansing process. We need to go through that, and professionals must be given the space and protected by the public from harassment by the comrades, by the criminal syndicates, and so on. And Ramaphosa himself must, as long as he's acting within the law, we must support him. And as long as the time frames he is using are within the ambit of the law, we must support him. So to me, we must not rush for an overnight solution. This is an old problem. It is costing us billions of rands every day. It's extremely serious. However, no temporary solution must be installed.
Can I ask you how, or your view of how General Mkhwanazi has dealt with this matter in that dramatic fashion where he calls a media briefing and he is in his tactical response unit uniform versus the blue that he normally wears. And some people hold the view that actually he needed to do this because had he gone through the normal channels of laying a complaint and therefore the process, that would have taken long, and perhaps he was sensing that something is afoot, and therefore the best way for him to protect himself is to conduct himself in such a fashion. What do you believe prompted his action to act in this way?
On a much smaller scale, I have had a number of highly trained, well-educated, skilled, and experienced professionals spending time with me, almost in counseling regarding the egregious treatment they've received from the comrades in the state, whether they are engineers, legal advisors in the state, and so on. People have been violated in the extreme and not protected by the state. Some have not even been protected by Ramaphosa. Some DGs who conflicted with corrupt cabinet ministers were fired at the instructions of Ramaphosa. So Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, what he has done is an act of patriotism in favor of the nation of South Africa, to take the first step towards raising the popular masses of South Africa in their largest numbers, to reclaim South Africa from the criminal mafia that is entangled with political gangsters that are supporting the continuation of profitable criminal activities in South Africa, as indicated in the Organized Crime Index report. All the time is there, the reports are there. So Mkhwanazi needs the support of all patriots in South Africa without hesitation, and people must be prepared to die if need be, in support of Mkhwanazi and in confrontation with political gangsters and the criminal mafia that has captured the state in South Africa.
Mr. Swana, these are very strong words you are using, and mine is a responsibility to make sure that things are balanced here. So I want to take you back to some of your words, and you said at the start that Charles Kinnear, this was the man who was charged with leading the gangs unit in the Western Cape. You said that he was killed by his own fellow police officers. That's a strong statement. The understanding, unless I'm wrong here, is that the case is still ongoing. At best, what we have heard is that at some instances, he was left exposed in terms of his security detail, his police officers who were looking after him. They would be taken away, and that left him exposed. At least that's what we know. And then more to your recent comments now is that DGs have been fired, and they've been fired at the instruction of President Ramaphosa. That's another huge statement. I have the responsibility to ask you to back up what you are saying, unless I am completely mistaken in my knowledge of events.
Oh, thank you so much. I have a very expensive car from a visitor parked in my yard here as we speak. I've been asked to drive this car and go and park it in the back, and I felt I must leave it there, but the gate is closed. So I could also take the step of not only leaving it there, but opening the gate all night, when in fact it is my duty to close the gate, switch on the alarm, and do all that. And then when that car is stolen, the only thing that must be reported is that the gate was open and the alarm was not switched on, not that Sandile caused the car to be stolen. That is what I'm being taught now here on air. If there is somebody in authority, let's say the police were to come to me, let's say the Hawks or whoever were to come to me and ask me questions about why do I say that Ramaphosa endorsed the immoral and illegitimate termination of at least one DG in South Africa, I will give that name to the authorities. I'll give the details to the authorities and the supporting documents. I have them. So I'm not worried about that. I don't come to the TV and make statements I cannot back up. I can back up what I'm saying. However, let me add this. All these universities out there, the information they distribute every day to students has not been verified by any court of law. The companies that are running in South Africa, they use information that has not been verified. Our homes are run with information. So as citizens, we use information that has not been verified by any court of law anyway. If I were to verify anything through the course that I say on air or that I write anywhere or say to my children or anywhere, I would not live my life. However, what I say with a clear conscience, and I believe the South Africans in their largest numbers must support the efforts of Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. There is corruption in the state, and the Organized Crime Index report must be read because it says there are about 15 criminal markets where the organized crime supported by state actors are operating here. Some of us have already lost our relatives in all of this, including me.
Mr. Swana, I can only appreciate your time and indeed your bravery in the manner in which you have addressed, particularly the last question. Thank you very much for your time.